What is up, my Gooners and Doomers? Welcome to another video. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the drill. And in the description down below, or somewhere around here, depending where you're watching this, you'll find a link to my link tree, which will have links to all of my socials, including my Twitch and Kick, which I really recommend you not only follow, but specifically hit the notification bell on, because my life right now is so chaotic, even I don't know when I'm going live. So make sure you follow those so you know when I am. With that being said, I don't want to waste your time. Let's just get into the video. I hope you enjoy. Hello. Well, today we will be reacting to the problem with VTubers. The reason I'm reacting to this should be pretty obvious. Let's find out why I'm the problem.
So if you don't know what a VTuber is, chances are you've never touched an anime in your life, and never had to explain to your parents why an anime girl's breasts are shooting armor-piercing 16-inch shells. Fully well.
No, I still had to do that. Apparently this man has never watched Austin Powers.
Are you ready, Boots? Start walking.
Knowing your luck had run out and this was the only scene in the entire anime to have such a depraved act. And the usual episodes are like Animal Crossing. Or maybe you just haven't come across the many fan accounts uploading videos of their favourite VTuber saying the most out of context explicit dialogue.
No! Don't come! Don't come!
Or it's a clip of their VTuber showing off body parts of their 3D model.
I feel like it's been a while since really showed off the thighs. Go ahead, give me all the rubs you can manage.
Like their feet. Yes, they exist. Could be worse. You could be French.
French!
I mean, most VTubers doing that are indie VTubers anyway. And there are only two types of VTubers. You have the agency VTubers who are backed by an agency and a bigger company, and then you have indie VTubers who are not held back by an agency and their rules and can say whatever they want and do whatever they want. Yes, and I mean whatever they want. But what are VTubers in general? Well, a VTuber is basically a 2D or 3D model controlled by a person, controlled by people you...
Yep. I went with 3D because, in my opinion, it's just superior, especially if you're on a budget, because then you are fully covered. Like, if I want to transfer this to VR chat or some other 3D program, I'm fully able to. I don't need to buy another model or whatever. It's also pretty easy to change in the future as well. At least what I understand, I could be wrong. But yeah, that's why I went with 3D, and usually recommend other people do as well. You can do 2D, but if you go 2D, especially if you're starting VTuber, I would honestly go with something a bit more PNG-ish, but you know, obviously it's up to you. But I went with 3D. I think it's better overall. Tracking's a little wonky because I'm still using webcam, but I'm planning on saving up and getting a proper VR setup one day.
Using facial recognition to control said model and its gestures. And before you get your hopes up,
let's see what are mine. Horny, disappointed, sad, angry, and then yeah, that's pretty much it I have at the moment. Stick my tongue out too. I need to get more expressions, honestly. This is pretty basic.
None of them probably actually look like their VTuber model.
I do not.
Just have to say that. Some of you probably pitched a tent already, but most VTubers like the ones in agencies, you will never ever see their face. And don't worry, it's not because they're an ugly homunculus and on the same levels as weeping angels. Probably not. Probably. It's because they're under a contract to not do certain things. And depending on the agency you've chose to be a VTuber for, it's either like you're a piece of meat in a sweatshop, or you actually have a decent company you're working for. But the advantage of being in an agency is kind of like instant success. They will take care of your schedule, what games you'll be playing, what other VTubers or people you'll be interacting with, most of your channel management and social media management, and a platform to force feed your opinion into the mouths of many. But they also take care of your debut, which both indie and agency VTubers have to do. It's basically where the fans of that agency that has all these amazing VTubers gets to know you, and the character you're displaying, and along with other details like your backstory, your...
Full disclosure, sorry if you're hearing that clicking, I had to adjust my chair. My debut was completely ruined. I didn't really have a big agency one, obviously. I'm indie. But I did have a bit of a debut plan where I was going to make, a proper introduction stream. I ended up just making and uploading an introduction video to my channel later on because my debut went terribly. My ideal game that I decided to go with for my launch or whatever was Monster Hunter Worlds. Some of you are already groaning. I'm willing to bet. Yeah, that thing's performance was terrible. Add on top of that my VTuber programs, streaming programs, recording programs like OBS, and so many other things. My PC, even though it was decently beefy at the time, it had a 3080, i5, 17KF, I believe, stuff like that. It was decently beefy, and it could not handle it. I could only run that game, even at low settings, if that was the only application open. If I had anything else open, it would basically crash. So I had to end up getting a whole new PC, then went with this whole headache of trying to get a 9950X 3D because freaking scalpers grabbed it right when it launched, so I had to wait an additional month for that. And yeah, it was a whole mess. I'm not going to give you the whole spiel, but yeah, it was painful. I got a freaking monster of a PC though now that handles everything great. And pro tip, by the way, if you're looking to get a PC, don't buy one pre-built. There are places like on Reddit and whatnot that will help you build these PCs and give you exactly the parts that you need. And then what you can do is you can take those parts, even if you don't know how to build a PC, you can take those parts, just Google in your area a computer repair shop, and then just give them a call and ask if they'll do PC assemblies for you. They usually do, and they'll usually charge around $100, give or take. So as long as you're willing to shell out 100 extra bucks, you can have them build the PC for you, and you'll have a fully built custom PC with everything you need to your specifications. And the reason you would want to do that is because even after the $100 fee, if you're buying individual parts, it tends to actually be cheaper that way than actually buying some $5,000 or whatever the hell pre-build. Just a pro tip from what I went through.
Your age, your height, your butthole size, how many raccoons can fit up there. And yes, most VTubers have lore. Not like on the level of Lord of the Rings. Kind of like Naruto if you took out all the filler. Like popular VTuber Gura Gura. Gura is a descendant of the lost city of Atlantis and is over 9,000 years old. 9,000 years old. And you want to know why her tail looks like that?
I don't see a problem with that.
She got stuck in a ravine and had a bunch of rocks fall on her and she had to wiggle out. And I will tell you that is the most simplest and wholesome VTuber lore. The rest of
I still need to work on, I guess, my lore. I've never really decided to have lore for my character because my character is just kind of an extension of myself for the most part. Since I am indie, I'm not really going for much of a character per se. It's kind of just me. So I don't really have much backstory. I might consider that. Maybe I will. Obviously, I have the Incubus shtick going on, but that's about it.
An emo kid's fantasy. But agencies will mostly take care of you until you graduate. No, not the peak Kanye West album.
Good morning.
Graduation is for VTubers that either want to leave their agency, want to quit their job, don't want to be a VTuber anymore, or you've been a very, very bad VTuber. Because graduation is basically where they take your VTuber round back and fill it full of 12 gauge. And then bury the body to the point where no one will ever find it again. Because especially if you're with a VTuber agency, you will never be able to use that model again, not even reference it or speak to any of your other VTuber friends that are in the same age.
Yeah, that's why I haven't really been an agency VTuber. I haven't even applied, and I don't think I ever will. Mainly for exactly these two reasons. Like I said, this model, for instance, is kind of an extension of myself. Not that I look like this 100%, obviously. I don't have long hair or, at the moment anyways, rippling muscles. But it is kind of a bit of an extension of myself in other ways, and it's my own creation. I designed it, I came up with it. I didn't make it like in the modeler. I had an artist do that. But I came up with the design and everything. And so the idea of me like signing up for a VTuber agency and then having to play a role or a character that isn't really me, and then also knowing that if I ever leave, I'm going to lose that, and especially if I were to lose this specifically. And then on top of that, the friends. If you make friends, you colleagues, co-workers, you have fun together, you chat, you do all this stuff, and then one day, just poof, you're fired or you quit or whatever, and now you're just completely excommunicado. Like I couldn't handle that. I absolutely couldn't. Call me sentimental, but I would just not be able to handle that. And that's why I have not even attempted to become an agency VTuber.
Agency, and you lose your platform and you basically have to start again. Because
although, to be fair, sorry, I know I'm pausing a lot, but to be fair, you don't really start again. starting again as a fresh VTuber like I am is legitimately difficult to do. Starting again as a fresh VTuber, well, not really a fresh VTuber, but a re-debut VTuber, trust me, most fans are going to find a way to figure out who you are and where you went to after you graduated. Didn't Dokibird, or maybe her too, but actually I meant Gargura, didn't she recently have a launch and have like over 1 million people on her first stream or something, on her first reaction video, or sorry, debut video or something like that? Like, trust me, even if you're not supposed to or don't actually communicate it, your fans will find a way to find you again. So even if you are technically starting at zero, you're really not. Just put a few videos out there, make a few vague posts here and there on Reddit or something. Word will very quickly spread, and your fans will find you again, and you'll have thousands again in no time flat. It's really not the same thing as genuinely starting fresh.
As the agency owned all of that, and most of the time these agencies won't even let you shout out your new channel if you're leaving. So you have to build yourself back up where most indie VTubers start. But the
Not
biggest
quite,
reason
I already
why
covered
most
that.
people would be an indie VTuber is one, you have to audition to join an agency and basically land the role of the VTuber
Good
they
pick.
have designed for you. 2, there is no profit sharing, meaning if I donate to a VTuber on YouTube, which I would never do, a majority of the time YouTube takes their 30%, and the agency may take more. So by the time my money gets to that VTuber, it's probably mere pennies. And third, most VTubers are
Yeah, actually, pro tip about that. In my link tree down below, by the way, I'm not actually asking you to donate here, I'm just explaining, although thanks if you do. But in the description down below, or wherever you're watching this, in my link tree, my second link you'll see is a explicitly labeled direct donation button. And I have that specifically because I know this is a concern some people have. They want to donate or support a VTuber or support someone in general. They're really worried about a lot of their money, or most of it, going to some corporation rather than the person they're actually trying to help make a living. So those are the reasons why I have a direct donation button, and I highly recommend everyone does it. I don't remember quite, I need to check again, but it's either through PayPal or it's through Stream Elements. I don't remember which, but it's through one of the two. And so you click that button, it just, all of it, like I think like 99%, maybe 1% for a transaction fee, but all of it goes straight to me. And I would really recommend all VTubers have that, and then have it linked on like your Twitch or whatever. Do that so your fans can actually support you instead of supporting some greedy corporation that doesn't need more money, quite frankly.
an agency have to act a certain way, often taking up an entirely different persona from their own, and often can't convey their actual feelings towards their chat. Like so, they can't just say, everyone watching this video has unwashed foreskin, because they're under
Quit calling me out!
a contract and are employed by this agency. And most of them don't want to get graduated if they did. So a lot of them have to act like they like you. Kind of like that time the popular person asked you out as a joke. Just gonna let that one simmer. Did that bring up past trauma? Good. Which is why most people opt to be indie VTubers, because there's a lot more freedom. Some of these VTuber agencies can be absolute hell. But most indie VTubers have to take care of their own reputation, own brand, their own damage control and rapport with fans, which has led to some terrible cases with indie VTubers. But we'll get into some of these terrible companies and terrible VTubers later. But I have a confession to make.
I'll be honest, as an indie VTuber, the hardest part is honestly just getting to the point of being able to afford an editor. Even just a basic one who would just go through your footage and just cut stuff or clip stuff or whatever. Not even like hyper, you know, fancy editing like what he's doing here with like moving stuff around screen and everything. Just like simple cut editing and whatnot. Even having someone willing to do that would bring down my workload or time load, whatever you want to call it, by a massive amount. The difference between making content with an editor and making it all yourself is night and day. It's like the difference between a snail and a freaking steam train or whatever. Like, you can really get chuggy. So that's what my main goal is, and that's honestly, in my opinion, the biggest struggle of an indie VTuber is getting enough support and audience and whatnot to eventually find and hire an editor, even a basic one, that's willing to actually help you with all of your content, so you can really start putting stuff and yourself out there. That's honestly the first and biggest hurdle. If you can get over that hurdle to the point where you have enough support for an editor, everything beyond that is just basically have fun. It's basically just, you will grow naturally as the editor puts stuff out there, as you create more and more content. As the saying goes, if you build it, they will come. The problem is, when you're an indie VTuber and you don't even have an editor yet, you're trying to build a building essentially without a blueprint or a construction manager. Like, that's the biggest first hump.
I have a favorite VTuber. Whilst I'm not part of the VTuber community,
Oh, I wonder
actually
who
do
it
have a
is.
VTuber I quite like. And I'm gonna give you a sec to guess who it is, so I can ridicule you for getting it wrong, because in all honesty, a majority of people are gonna get it wrong.
All right, I'll play the game. Give me a second. He said Gargura, so unless he's just trying to be cheeky, it won't be that one. I doubt it's Cinder. Although, to be fair, this might have happened before said controversy. Shy Lily was in it, so maybe it's Shy Lily. Zintre is pretty popular. I have no idea, especially if it's a less known VTuber. I don't know. I'll go with Shy Lily. Who doesn't like Shy Lily? Or maybe Iron Mouse.
You submitted your answer? You dum-dum. My favourite VTuber is Rin Penrose.
Fucking who? I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but I genuinely don't know who that is.
Okay, fine. I'll admit it. I do have a tendency to complain a lot. The accent doesn't help.
I honestly can't wait to ridicule you for getting it wrong. Anyway,
Yep,
I know
go
what you're
ahead.
thinking. It's not because they're a British VTuber. Okay, partially it's because they're British. You colonies would not understand. We have to keep the British monarchy going. But I actually quite like them because they actually sound like a British person, not an aristocratic asshole, or an obnoxious fentanyl-filled caveman like the majority of Manchester, or decimated by the concept of an American thinking what a British person sounds like. No, they are quite literally
Oh, that was a missed opportunity for comedic timing. They should have put in a video of like what they consider an example of that. That would have been hilarious.
your average Brit. Probably have jagged teeth though. But I also got into the VTuber community because I have a friend that's a VTuber. Take a look at this femboy.
Okay, so he's got a small channel. I wonder if he's doing better now. I hope he does. That was really nice of him to shout out his friend. Foxfish_en. I hope he's doing well.
There are also male VTubers, by the way. They're not as popular as the female counterparts, but there's also
Yeah, we lack certain physics, shall we say.
boy VTubers, if that's up your street. But just a heads up, they are significantly more explicit than any other type of VTuber.
You stopped like squeezing my ass as like a stress ball.
But VTubers can be found from anywhere from TikToks to YouTube Shorts to YouTube in general and the Twitch platform. A majority of them stream and upload short form content, which is how I found Rin. I found them on YouTube Shorts, which is a platform that is slowly withering my brain away. But in VTuber terminology, although I don't know that much about the community, they would be considered my Urshi, which means to push your VTuber in ways of support. But me being a narcissist, I'd probably push them off a cliff. But what are these terrible
Wouldn't work with me. Wings, bitch.
agencies and terrible VTubers? An example of a terrible VTuber agency, which probably everyone from their mother to an Ethiopian child with no internet access has heard of, is Ninji Sanji. Just hearing that name probably sent shivers
I
through
actually
your
don't know
testicles.
much about them. I know that they had a big controversy with Doki Bird. I know that they're labeled something called a black company, which in Japan is apparently a company you basically just don't want to work for that engages in a lot of shady practices. But that's about it. I might do a deeper dive on that. I think some people have done some videos on that. So I might react to those, maybe update the Cinder drama and whatnot. I might get into some of that in some reaction videos later on.
Ninji Sanji, who have had a flame under their ass for the last few months now. And why? Well, unlike successful VTuber agencies like HoloLive,
Gura, my dog died. Let's go!
very successful.
What was the context of that? That wasn't real, was it? Tell me someone edited that. If that was real, what was the context? If anyone knows, put it down in the description. I mean, in the comments below. I'm not kidding. Please tell me. I need to know the context.
They apparently don't know how to manage their talent well, or treat them like a decent human being. So what happened? Basically, we had a VTuber by the name of Selen, And this is Selen, who had to revert back to her previous indie VTuber model, DirkyBird. And in my opinion, it's an upgrade. But before she reverted back to being an indie VTuber, she absolutely dunked on her previous agency and exposed them for what they are, a mounting flaming trash heap in the form of a sweatshop. It was basically a toxic workplace with harassment and bullying, to the point where the conditions were so deplorable and had such a severe effect on her mental health that she would try and harm herself and ended up in hospital.
Oh
And on
god,
top
that's
of that,
terrible.
she went above and beyond for this company.
I knew
to
it was bad. I
entertain
didn't
the
know it was that
fans.
bad.
She would dip into her own pocket to pay for commissions for videos to entertain fans, which should have been a company expenditure, and made it so she made no profit whatsoever in 2023. But the equivalent of this situation is you went above and beyond for this company, only for them to bend you over a desk and conduct an unprompted colonoscopy. Because of the fact DirkyBird was trying to publish videos for her fans that she was paying for, the company would not only take those videos down when she uploaded them, and because she didn't get permission from her corporate overlords, they would get their favourite Winchester Model 21 shotgun, and without even informing her, take her VTuber round back and fill it full of buckshot.
No
and she would wake up to her friends
They didn't
telling
even
her
tell
that
her?
she had been graduated without her knowing. No prompt, no email, no slap on the ass. She was donezo, and the company basically came out and said it was her own fault. She was breaking rules by trying to entertain her fans for the benefit of the audience and the company in general. But this is where it gets really interesting and quite funny. When DirkyBird reverted to DirkyBird, and the internet heard about this terrible company that affected her mental health so much, they turned into absolute doomslayers.
As they probably should have.
Taking an absolute big turd on the company, and whilst doing so, supporting DirkyBird with subscribers and donations on her stream, to the point where she was making a profit now. And this would lead that company to scramble for a response, to the point where they have to hijack one of their VTubers' streams and get some other fucking VTubers to apologize for them, basically saying it was all a misunderstanding. For some
I feel so
reason, it
bad
was
for those
formatted
guys.
like a YouTuber apology, that they had the black screen. Some of the VTubers forcibly emptying their lungs with sighs. I don't know who I feel sorry for more, the people that had to watch it or the VTubers that got forced to do it. But they would essentially just say, not our fault. On a whole bunch of litigation regarding harassment and people's information being leaked would start, heavily in DirkyBird's favour. And what is really funny, Niji Sanji is telling people to stop selling their stocks in the company because that ship dropped lower.
Holy crap. Alright. Unfortunately, I'm going to make a prediction. 1 second. Alright, I'm going to make a prediction. I really hope I'm wrong, but unfortunately, I work on the philosophy that generally speaking, consumers, especially ones that consume corpo stuff like this in the first place, genuinely do not give a fuck at all. They do not care. So, okay, so I have it pulled up now. This is basically what I was worried about. As you can see, the stock has not only recovered, it has exceeded. There was even a point in time when it was actually, wait a minute, this is a day. Let me go to, what was it again? 1 year, right? Let's do that. Yeah. Like, I'm guessing this big dip here is probably when the Selene stuff happened, or maybe it was one of these two others. Probably this one. But then as you can see, it went up, and now they're actually a little low, but they hit as high as 5,000 yen. Like I said, unfortunately, even though the company deserved it, it doesn't matter. People don't care. They just don't. So even though this was definitely bad PR for them, they have ultimately grown. Their stocks are more expensive. So that means their profits have probably gone up, which means people are still watching. They don't care about Niji's business practices or anything else. They just want to watch whatever their VTuber is, and then that's it. They don't care that they're supporting or rewarding this behavior. They just want to watch it, and if the world burns for it, they don't care. Unfortunately, as we saw with the Switch 2 sales, that's just how people operate. They don't care. This is actually why I've become a little pessimistic when it comes to the consumer. I don't really make excuses for them anymore. I just don't. Let's get back to the video.
Lower than my testicles in puberty. But one thing that really intrigued me about this Not the fact a VTuber agency is getting shat on, but it's how much she's changed from being an agency VTuber to an indie VTuber. Even she notices she's allowed to even make negative comments now.
Wait, I can see it now. In Pokemon! Sorry, my inner filter fucking kicked in.
But she's doing very well for herself with
That's
an
another
ever-evolving
reason.
legal battle. But that is an example of a
That's another reason I would not be a good corpo VTuber. I do not have much of a filter. I just don't.
bad situation with a bad company that these idle VTubers have to endure. Now for the indie VTubers. Most indie VTubers behave kind of like the agency VTubers, as I've mentioned before, except for the fact they have a lot more freedom and can say what they want and do what they want, which has led to some VTubers being more NSFW. I'm talking full cock, full mahonga dongas, some VTubers having wardrobe malfunctions, which you wouldn't expect an agency VTuber to have a nude avatar version of themselves, and sometimes they intentionally do it, like the VTuber Marina that misunderstood the TOS of Twitch update and did a full stream in a nude avatar. And then when people in the chat were telling her, you know, you're gonna get banned, right? She was mocking them and then got banned. Or another good
God, that's
example
funny.
is Project Melody, who originally garnered popularity through her explicit personality, and the fact she was on Chatterbait with a remote control RCXD up her HDMI port, and every time someone donated or put some tokens in the chat, the genital blender would start, and, you know, you can probably guess what happened next. But she was probably one of the first VTubers to do this. And as I said, it got a lot of attention. She was discovering a whole new way of being a VTuber. But now she got signed with the VTuber agency VShoujo, and has significantly dialed it back, but she's still getting blended every now and again. But overall, indie VTubers have it quite hard, and you basically have to stand out in a crowd just to get viewers. Some VTubers have done this by voicing their political opinions, almost I say virtue signaling, like the case with Aurora, where she was saying statements which most people agree with.
Wait, what is this? Y'all don't think if I win any one of those VTuber awards that I'm not taking that acceptance speech as an opportunity to talk about real issues? I'm thanking y'all, then going straight into BLM, Free Palestine, Congo, and Sudan. Like so many people are complaining about the person running it, but aren't thinking about what it means to win it. It's a chance to make an audience accountable for a huge platform. Imagine reaching that big of an audience to talk about things that matter. Fuck the clout for personal gain. I want that clout to spread more awareness. You all know I have always used my platform to speak up on issues. That's never going to change, so vote for people that will make a difference. This is your voice and opportunity to. All right. Is this virtue signaling or is this a legitimate stance? Let's check her out. What is her name? Aurora Macarena. Okay, so she's got less than 60,000 followers. And she's got 15,000 followers on Twitch. I mean, she definitely has enough to make it, but that is not enough. That is not enough to spread a serious message. What the hell do you think you're going to do when people like Asmongold or Destiny are already talking about these issues constantly? They have like 2 or 3 million followers, respectively, and then like nearly 1 million with Destiny. Destiny is a much bigger streamer, and definitely Asmongold is. What do you think you're going to do or announce or talk about that is going to be better than the people that are already talking about it? Not to mention the news already doesn't shut up about it. You're not going to do anything. Like, who doesn't know about these issues already who's even remotely trying to follow it? And I promise you, the people who don't know about it, don't follow it, they're not going to care. Not really. They might be performative, but they're not going to. We already just saw what happened with Niji Sanji. At the end of the day, the people who care already follow this stuff. This was just pure virtue signaling. I was expecting her to have, like, maybe be some VTuber I never heard about that had, like, at least 500,000 subs, maybe 1 million, and then I was expecting her Twitch to have at least 100,000, something like that. But no, she's big enough to have made it as a VTuber. Like, congrats to her. But this is just pure virtue signaling. Girl, you're not doing anything.
Anyway, and somewhat fear-mongering, but indie VTubers definitely have it harder in the way they have to gather their own audience. Whilst agency VTubers do kind of get that interest beforehand, but I do see why some indie VTubers would do this. It's really hard to make yourself stand out in a sea of anime girls. So some, not all, really hard to make.
I don't mean to insult anybody, but I don't recognize a single person in this collage. If these are all VTubers, I don't recognize a single one.
Sort of stand out in a sea of anime girls. So some, not all of them, tend to the NSFW side, or the personalities like that anyway, and they have a lot more freedom to express themselves. But in terms of indie VTubers and agency VTubers, both have their struggles, and both are quite neat. Even if one of the VTubers I can turn their genitals into mincemeat just by donating, that is unfortunately still entertainment. And as always, one VTuber does not define what all VTubers are like, or what one VTuber agency is like for the rest. But I can see how people view indie VTubers and agency VTubers as entertaining, from things they can do to their VTuber model that most Twitch streamers won't even get out of their chair for, or just creating concerts and small events for their fans, or introducing a new model to their community, or doing whatever Fillion is doing, which is causing internal brain damage every day, I think. But that's basically what
I was going to say causing injury every day, but that works.
They face. That's it. Bye-bye.
All right, well, that's it. Yeah, I basically said everything I had to during the video, so I don't have much of an outro here. Just, yeah, being an indie VTuber is basically a struggle. Biggest problem is basically just getting to the point of at least affording an editor. But, yeah, that's basically it. I don't really have much else to say. I guess I'll look into those controversies sometime. We'll do a deep dive on those too. Follow, I guess, if you want to see those. That's it. Roll the outro.